How you guys doing tonight? Welcome in here to Rover Sports, and want to congratulate my friend Chris Senior. I want to congratulate the fans of Toronto. You all deserve this championship. The Toronto Raptors are the better basketball team. I mean, Kawhi Leonard tonight was impeccable. You needed a healthy Klay Thompson to stay in front of him. Pascal Siakam is a problem, and Serge Ibaka was unstoppable tonight. He had 20 points. He was getting all kinds of rebounds. I mean, he totally outplayed Draymond, and he outplayed DeMarcus Cousins tonight. The Warriors, I mean, you look at their team, it's Steph and Klay Thompson. And really, Livingston made some plays tonight to keep them in the game. Boogie had a couple of layups, but he had so many turnovers. This Warriors team is not as deep as it's been in the past couple of years. You look at Harrison Barnes, what Harrison would add to the defense. You had David West coming into the game and adding something. Nick Young would have even added something. But these guards are terrible. McKinney is just absolutely awful. Quinn Cook had his worst game that I think I've ever seen the guy play. And you got to give Cook credit for at least shooting, but he's just not a very good player. And so you look at really Golden State. You look at this Warriors team, and I'm not ready to say that the dynasty is over. I'm not ready to go there one bit whatsoever, because Golden State, they need to reload. They need to hit the draft better. Jordan Bell was a disappointment, but they had Festus Ezeli. They had some good players in the past. You look at Leandro Barbosa was tremendous in that 2015 finals. But Golden State is not immune to being defeated. The Thunder had them. If you're a long athletic team, you're going to have an amazing chance at beating them. Oklahoma City had them, the 73-win team. They act like LeBron and the Heat, or they act like LeBron and the Cavs defeated one of the greatest teams of all time. But really, those Warriors should have been beaten in Game 6 had it not been Klay Thompson rescuing them. They're very, very skilled. Iguodala's been a tremendous player for Golden State. And in the NBA, it's easy to get into the Hall of Fame, so Iguodala is like a Hall of Fame player. He's a tremendous role player. So really, you look at Golden State, and they're going to continue their run. They're going to continue their dynasty in the West. You look at Draymond, is still fantastic. He's going to still be Draymond Green. He's going to do everything for this basketball team. Steph Curry. Look at Steph Curry, and I still think Steph is going to be elite. You have Klay Thompson, and then with the money that you have allocated, you should probably get Willie Cauley-Stein. I think Willie Cauley-Stein is a lot better than DeMarcus Cousins. You should pay Cauley-Stein a lot of money, and you should look really at just creating depth with this team and building around the core three. And if Kawhi Leonard stays out in Toronto, let's talk about Kawhi for a second, and then I'll check some of the comments. Kawhi Leonard played tonight. It was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's right up there with the LeBron James, going up against Golden State all those years. It reminded me of like a Kobe Bryant game, back when he beat the Orlando Magic in the finals. Who else did Kobe beat? Kobe beat the Boston Celtics. Kawhi Leonard, he's going to have 2 championships after this championship. And in San Antonio, he was a decent player. He'd help out, but he was a very, very good player. But now the guy is carrying his team. His shot has improved. His handle's improving. He's getting better every year. And his mid-range game, the best mid-range game in the NBA. His three-point shot is really getting there. He emulates his game after Kobe and Michael Jordan, and he gets to his spots on the floor, and that's why he's so tough to beat. If he wins his championship in 5 games, he dethrones Golden State. He beat LeBron and the Miami Heat. He would have 2 championships. For him to reach like I don't think he can ever reach Jordan. I don't think he can. I don't think the clutchness of Michael. Kawhi Leonard's pretty clutch, but Kawhi Leonard would need to win 3 more He would need to win at least 5 championships to be considered better than LeBron James, to be considered a comparison to Michael Jordan. He would need to win 5 championships. And if he stays in Toronto, he'll have Pascal Siakam. So this is kind of my reason why he should stay in Toronto. Pascal Siakam. Could Siakam be a Scottie Pippen type of role player? Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, could they do this for another 2 years? Look at the Eastern Conference. Durant can go to the Nets or the Brooklyn or the New York Knicks, or the Nets or the Knicks beating the Toronto Raptors. Now, if Anthony Davis goes to the Celtics, it's possible that the Celtics, with Jason Tatum, with Al Horford, with the best coach in basketball, it's possible that Brad Stevens and the Celtics could beat the Toronto Raptors. It's also possible that the Sixers could give them a run. But then in the Western Conference, the real balance of power is shifted towards the East, because you look at how good the Sixers are going to be. You look at the Greek Freak. Boston's going to get better after Kyrie leaves. So it's going to be an absolute gauntlet. But if Marc Gasol plays another year, if this team comes back Toronto, could Toronto win another championship next year with Nick Nurse? Nick Nurse is probably a top 3 coach in all of basketball. You have Danny Green, Fred VanVleet. Could they do this again with Pascal Siakam getting even better? I mean, when you look at the best possible comparison Pascal Siakam could be, I maybe look at like a Jermaine O'Neal. I'm trying to think of like a very good player. Like an Al Harrington was a really good player. I'm trying to think of who Siakam would be. Maybe, I don't know if he's like a David Robinson by comparison, or maybe like a Sean Elliott. Like a big kind of, like a big kind of post guy. Maybe, I don't think he'll ever be as good as Karl Malone. I don't know. I mean, Scottie Pippen was tremendous, but I think Siakam could be very good, and he's still like 19 years old. So Kawhi, if he builds around Siakam, Masai Ujiri is always going to try to get a team to win. Could Nick Nurse be the next Phil Jackson? I don't know if I'm ready to go there, obviously, yet. But Kawhi Leonard has characteristics that the great ones have had, and he is a tremendous player. When you look at the top 10 players of all time, I think that Kawhi Leonard, if he wins this championship, he would then need to play like maybe 4 more seasons of this caliber of basketball. But he's probably, if he wins this championship, he's probably top 20 of all time. He's right up there with Dirk. Like, this reminds me of the Dallas Mavericks series. It reminds me of Dallas, what he is doing in this series tonight. It reminds me of the Dallas Mavericks. It really does. But where does Kawhi rank all time? You look at Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade still has more championships than Kawhi Leonard. Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Kobe is so much more ahead of Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard now is going to be ahead of guys like Tracy McGrady. He's going to be ahead of Vince Carter. He's probably ahead of Allen Iverson in terms of overall greatness, but he's probably right up there. Like, Dirk Nowitzki still had a better career than Kawhi thus far, and with him in San Antonio, my theory why he might have stayed out of San Antonio was because, there was nothing to gain in San Antonio. Greg Popovich he hated. And also, if he wins in San Antonio, you're not creating your own legacy. But in Toronto hasn't won anything. So in San Antonio, you're just one of people. Your legacy couldn't have gotten better. You just would have been in Tim Duncan's shadow, kind of like I was having a discussion today. My friend David, he might be on the live stream now. We were talking about Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio, and I said in the 2014 finals, he was really good. But he was kind of like a supporting player that was able to guard LeBron James, and the Spurs were just amazing all around. So I didn't look at him as ever carrying the team, as ever being the guy. I looked at Timmy Duncan. I looked at Parker Ginobili. Just a great team effort. I never looked at Kawhi, but here I look at Kawhi being the leader. Kawhi Leonard won that Sixers series, and really the amazing thing about Toronto is that they were in double overtime with the Bucks. The Bucks played terribly in Game 3. And the Milwaukee Bucks, if they would have won that double overtime game in Game 3, Kawhi Leonard probably would have left Toronto, and Toronto would have never been close to winning a championship. Klay Thompson goes down, that shot goes in against Philadelphia, and now the course of history has changed, and now Toronto has that confidence and swagger about them because they were always the choker. And if they lost that series to Philly, I was at that game 4 in Philadelphia where Kawhi Leonard made big-time shots, made big-time threes. He has a great sense for the moment, but if the Sixers won game 4, the Sixers would have beaten the Toronto Raptors. Kawhi would have left, and you would have been left, and then Kawhi would have left, and this thing would have never gotten off the ground. Now, Kawhi Leonard could leave, but the fact that he just won a championship, the fact that Siakam has progressed, the fact that these Raptors are going to get the confidence of winning an NBA championship is priceless, and it just shows you that bounce in Philadelphia. That double overtime game, the Milwaukee game 3, I thought the Bucks were just going to win that series after game 2. And this Toronto team, I was really wrong on the Toronto Raptors. After game 3 against Philadelphia, I said this Raptors team is just not very good. Marc Gasol, overrated. Ibaka can disappear. Danny Green can disappear. And Kyle Lowry, not good enough to win a championship. Siakam is too young. Kawhi Leonard is really good, but the Raptors, are just a pretty good team. They're a decent team. They're a decent basketball team. Then they played the Bucks, and we looked at all the Bucks' flaws. We looked at the Greek Freak being too young, Eric Bledsoe playing terribly. We looked at the Bucks and Budenholzer choking, and we said, the Raptors, amazing that they won in this conference, but you look at the Sixers had their problems. The Celtics, Kyrie Irving burned that franchise to the ground. That's what Kyrie Irving did. He burned the Celtics to the ground. So then you really look at the you look at the Eastern Conference, right? You look at the Eastern Conference. You say, okay, Toronto was like the best team to win the Eastern Conference. Good for them. Good for the Toronto Raptors. They won the Eastern Conference. Good for them. That's what you looked at when you thought of Toronto and the Raptors. But now that they're going to win this championship, now that they're dominating Golden State, it's unbelievable. It's crazy how good this team has become. The confidence that Nick Nurse, Fred VanVleet, the Warriors have their flaws, but this is the best team in basketball. And Kawhi Leonard is playing this series. He's playing like a top 5 player in NBA history for this series. Now, he has a lot more work to do. He had that whole year last year where he sat out. And he's a tremendous regular season player. He's only played about maybe 7 or 8 years. He needs like 5 more years and 3 more titles. But this guy has the makings of one of the greatest players ever. Tonight's performance was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. I know he went 11 of 22, but he hit those 2 threes there to open up, I think, the third quarter. Long 25-foot threes. He was getting to his spot. It seemed like he didn't miss a shot tonight. He was just impeccably good, incredibly good. Serge Ibaka tonight, it's really his time too. He paid his dues with the Thunder, and now what he is doing on this stage, he has been ridiculous this series. And Toronto's just getting these guys, and this is really a championship team that I would put against the Spurs. I would put against the Miami Heat, even with Wade and LeBron James. And Toronto is a worthy champion. They're a worthy champion. So I'm going to go ahead, guys, and look at some of y'all's points about the Eastern Conference, and I'll go ahead and pull up my YouTube channel, see what you guys are communicating about, and yeah, it was really a fascinating performance. So yeah, now we're in overtime here. I'm gonna go ahead and look at my YouTube channel, and I'm sure some of you guys watched the game tonight. It was crazy. It was crazy. I have Sam Darnold as the profile picture. He is just locked into the profile picture. G-Men 409, it's great hearing from you, man. Great hearing from you. Serge Ibaka, though, is playing fantastic, David. He's making all these jump shots. He is playing tremendous. Chris Senior is absolutely awesome. And congratulations, Chris, on winning a championship. There's no way they're coming back from 3-1. The series is over. This series is absolutely over. No one does that, except if it's not like the Warriors are getting suspended. It's not like Draymond Green's there, and it's not like the Warriors, LeBron James is that good, and I don't think that they're going to win Game 5 in Toronto. I don't think so. Dude, I took Golden State too. Klay Thompson, if you told me that he would have had 25, you told me if he would have had 25 that they would have won if you would told me Klay Thompson would have had 25, Steph Curry just completely burned out. He was not good tonight at all. He was really hesitating on their three. Brian B. Gaming. You know what is so awesome about the Joe Douglas hire is that Joe Douglas is a Philadelphia guy, and I can't wait to hear the press conferences. But it's going to be I think that you guys got a decent hire. I really do. I mean, the Eagles and Howie Roseman have done an absolutely terrific job. Now, could Kevin stay in Golden State, especially if they can't win? Draymond could say to Kevin that they need Kevin Durant. And if the Warriors didn't have Kevin Durant, they might have split the two series. Even with Kevin Durant, Game 1 last year was tight. Even with Kevin Durant, that other series was tight. I mean, in Cleveland versus LeBron James, it's almost impossible to beat LeBron in Cleveland. I mean, that Game 6 where the Cavs came back from 3-1 down, that Game 6, the Cavs won by 50 freaking points. That Game 6 was the most embarrassing game of the Warriors dynasty because that was when the beat Golden State. Draymond was back, none of those bullshit excuses. Cleveland punks Golden State in Golden State every time. I like the Golden State Warriors. I can admit that LeBron James in Cleveland is just about unbeatable. If Kevin Durant comes back, he's going to need, first of all, Kevin's so rusty. Winning there is so difficult. I don't even know if they can win if Kevin's back. And Kawhi Leonard is playing that well. Fred VanVleet's going to be back for Game 5. Even with Kevin Durant, are you winning in that atmosphere? And then they'd have to win Game 6. The Raptors don't lay down ever. And then Game 7. If Durant comes back, it'll be interesting. I don't think he comes back, though. I think he's probably in New York. It's crazy. Oh, David, that's funny. And the refs were terrible in that game. I remember that game in 2017 because I wanted Golden State to win that. And I think Kyle Korver had 50. I think that Cleveland scored 180. They had 150 points in that game. They couldn't miss a shot in that finals game in Cleveland, the Quicken Loans. But Game 6 of 2016, the Warriors got punked. So Cleveland was just as good as them. It's a 7-game series. The Raptors are the better team. Why do you think, Brandon, first of all, why do you think the Seahawks defense is really good? Tell me who's good on the Seattle defense, Brandon. And I love you, Brandon, but the fact is Rashad Penny, as one of the best running games in the NFL, you just run the ball a lot, but maybe statistically, are you kidding me? You're top 5. First of all, your team last year had an easy schedule. The 49ers and Cardinals, those were 4 wins that were gifted to you. And you should have beaten the Cowboys. You should have at least given the Cowboys more of a game. Listen, I don't think that Russell Wilson's very good. Doug Baldwin is now retired. DK Metcalf's a good pickup. You're playing in the toughest division in the NFL. Your coach is really old. Your defensive personnel, I mean, I'm going to go pull up the Seattle Seahawks right now. MH, great seeing you, buddy. Thanks for popping in here. I really do appreciate it. I mean, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, you have Jaron Reed, Ziggy Ansah. Ziggy Ansah, I guess, could be a good pickup. Cassius Marsh. Okay, I don't hate that pickup either. You have Wagner's old. Your secondary, Shaquille Griffin and Trey Flowers. This team's not that good. Tedrick Thompson and Brad McDougald. You can't even – these guys are off the street. You pick these secondary guys off the street. Your offensive line is still not that good. You're starting DJ Fluker, who I saw in the Giants, who wasn't very good. Mike Iupati is like 40 years old. I don't know. Taco Fall, tremendous player. A really good player. I mean, UCF should have won that game. No, it's just on here. It's ridiculous, that thumbnail. But I guess Sam Darnold's always in my head, huh? Because I always have his social media on here. But here's the thing on Taco Fall. All right, he is a really good player. He's tall, good personality. He'll help. But yeah, that's when they were good. When Russ Wilson made all that cash, or when Russell Wilson was young, they were able to stack their defense. That's when they were good. They're not going to be any good. They're going to be like 7-9, 6-10. They're going to be bad. Seahawks will be really bad. They still have Schottenheimer as their offensive coordinator. I don't think they're going to be that great at all. But thank you guys for tuning into the show. I'm probably going to bounce pretty soon, but MH, Danny Green. Well, Danny Green didn't play that well tonight. No way. Rondo was something else. Rondo was something else, I'll tell you. So I'm going to head out, man. Going to consume some content, and Hamza, I still think we're good next season, bro. I think we're good. Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much. Had a great time with y'all. Congrats to Toronto. It's been fascinating to watch this development. And what a performance. What a finals. Getting 2 in Golden State. It's not the end of the dynasty. I don't want to hear that talk. I don't want to hear that quit. And Golden State is going to win these games. They're going to be absolutely fine going forward. Trust me, they're going to be fine. They're probably going to get to the finals again. And they're going to have a chance to win it. And they've already won 3 championships. And it's an amazing, amazing group, an amazing team. So they're probably going to win 3 championships more. Probably 6 when it's all said and done. Maybe 5 or 6. That's still pretty amazing, you know. So, alrighty, guys. Thanks so much. Peace out. And